This video contains discussions of domestic violence, including intimate partner abuse. Please watch with care. A lot of the focus on my channel involves cases of women who have been abused. And with what I've been posting lately, I'm seeing a lot of comments that are shaming the victim. The saddest part of it is that it's women who are making those comments. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they're just not educated about abusive relationships rather than that they're being intentionally cruel. So I've made a list of 7 myths about women and abusive relationships. And yes, I realize that men are abused as well, but I'll leave that to someone else to discuss as my perspective is that of a woman. Before I get started, I want to thank all of you who are financially supporting the channel. I couldn't do this without you. And if you'd like to support the channel and help keep the lights on around here, you can join as a paid member. It really does make a difference. And there are links below for that. Now on with the myths. Myth number 1. Why doesn't she just leave? This is the most common and the most harmful myth. Leaving isn't a single moment, it's a process. Survivors often face financial dependence. So if he's the breadwinner, the survivor will have to get a job. But if she has children, then she has to get childcare in order to be able to go to that job. And a lot of women live in places where there are very little resources to help them, if any. If they don't have friends or family close by, they might not have anywhere to live. But I think the biggest reason why women don't just leave is the fear of retaliation. Statistically, the risk of being seriously harmed or killed increases when a victim tries to leave. 77% of domestic violence related homicides occur upon separation, and there's a 75% increase of violence upon separation for at least 2 years. So, yes, women will stay, knowing the abuse will happen again, but also knowing there's a high potential of it being worse when she leaves. There's also, more often than not, verbal abuse that goes with the physical. She's being told that she's worthless and that the abuse is her fault. She becomes physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted to the point where she starts to believe that. Myth number 2. If it was that bad, you'd be able to tell. Well, you can't always look at someone and know that they're being abused. Often abusers will cause harm where it's not visible, and then if it is, women will cover it up with long sleeves, high necklines, and makeup. But not even trained professionals can always identify abuse from the outside. Many survivors appear calm, put together, and even happy in public. The victims will share what seems like blissful photos with their abuser, and everything just looks hunky-dory. But abuse thrives behind closed doors, and many victims actively hide it out of fear, shame, or survival. Myth number 3. She must be exaggerating or lying. False reports of domestic violence are rare. What's far more common is underreporting. Many victims minimize their experiences or don't report it at all because they're afraid that they won't be believed or that things will get worse if they do speak up. Fear of retaliation is one of the main reasons that women don't press charges, because they know that even if their partner is taken to jail, he'll eventually get out and there's a good chance he'll come after her. Myth number 4. She knew what she was getting into. Well, so this one ignores how abuse actually works. Abusers rarely start out abusive. Relationships begin with charm and affection and trust. There's love bombing, where the abuser showers the woman with gifts, sweet words, vacations, and he'll make her think she's the only woman for him and that he loves her more than anyone else could. The abuse escalates gradually, making it difficult to recognize and even harder to leave once emotional and psychological control has taken hold. And after an episode of abuse, the love bombing starts again. It's a vicious cycle. Myth number 5. Domestic violence is just physical. Well, abuse isn't limited to bruises and broken bones. It can include emotional manipulation, financial control, isolation, threats, stalking, and coercion. Many survivors never experience physical violence, but are still living in constant fear and control. This type of abuse is sometimes harder to prove, too. So the woman feels as though no one's going to believe her, and sadly, a lot of the time, people don't. Myth number 6. This is personal. Let them work it out. I will always speak out about any abuse. And you might not like to think that domestic violence affects you, but it does. It affects all of us. Intimate partner violence costs over $5.8 billion a year, with the bulk of that being for medical and mental health services. And the abuse also affects the victim's job performance. Almost half of the workplace homicides are committed by a partner of the victim. I refuse to relive the era where discussing abuse was taboo. People have attempted to shame me for speaking out about Jonathan Lee Riches because I dared to talk about a fellow YouTube creator. And it just floors me that anyone would think someone would deserve certain privileges because of them being some sort of colleague. Abuse needs to come out into the light. We should all be speaking out and raising our voices for those who have been silenced. 1,000 voices are louder than one. And you never know when someone you love will come forward to talk to you about their own abuse once they see you standing up for other victims. And finally, myth number 7, it only happens in certain types of relationships. Well, domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It affects people across all income levels, education, backgrounds, cultures, and communities. The idea that it only happens in certain kind of homes allows it to stay hidden in plain sight. And don't think, oh, he would never, because of how much his salary is or what he does for a living. There are abusers in all walks of life. If you know someone who has repeated any of these myths, please share this video with them. I know it can be difficult for some to even try to imagine what it's like to be in an abusive relationship, so perhaps they need a bit of a nudge to point them in the right direction. Thank you so much for being here. I know this is a heavy subject for a lot of us. And if it's been especially heavy for you, be kind to yourself. Take a walk, listen to some music, scream into a pillow, whatever it takes to release some of this heavy emotion. And I'm going to have a follow-up episode of this with 7 ways that we can help someone leave an abusive relationship. I'll be back soon. Until then, stay safe and be happy.